demand. As stated earlier, market demand is a total quantity of commodity that all the individual buyers in the market are willing to buy at a given price per unit of time. So, in addition to the factors affecting individual demand for a commodity, market demand is also influenced by the following factors. So, market demand is influenced by number of buyers, distribution of income and wealth, and climatic condition. So, number of buyers buying a commodity determine the demand for the commodity in the market. So, as you have seen in table 9.2 showing market demand of mangoes, there were 3 buyers of mangoes in the market, namely Varsha, Vibha, and Soumya. Now, if one more buyer, Abha, also starts buying mangoes, what will happen to the market demand for mangoes? Market demand for mangoes will definitely increase. So, if the number of buyers of a commodity is large, market demand for the commodity will be more. On the other hand, if the number of buyers is small, market demand for the commodity will be less. Second factor affecting market demand is distribution of income and wealth. That is, how much income is there in society, what is the distribution of income and wealth in society. The distribution of income and wealth in a society also determines the market demand of a commodity. If the distribution of income and wealth is more in favor of the rich, demand for commodities preferred by the rich is likely to be higher. On the other hand, if the distribution of income and wealth is more in favor of the poor, demand for commodities preferred by the poor is likely to be higher. Climatic condition is generally observed that the demand for rice increases during summer season. Similarly, demand for umbrella and raincoats increases during rainy season, and demand for woolen increases during winter season. So the market demand for a commodity is also influenced by the climatic conditions. So finally, in text questions 9.5, question 1, name 4 factors that affect the individual demand for a commodity. The 4 factors which affect the individual demand for a commodity are 1. Price of the commodity, 2. Price of related goods, 3. Income of the buyer, 4. Tastes and preferences of the buyer. Next question. Second question, what will happen to the demand for tea if the price of sugar increases? If the price of sugar increases, demand for tea will decrease. Question 3, what will happen to the demand for Coke if price of Pepsi falls? If price of Pepsi falls, demand for Coke will decrease. Distinguish between normal goods and inferior goods. That is question 4. So, what are inferior goods? What are normal goods? So, the answer to that is here in paragraph 3 on page 88. It says, the demand for commodity also depends on the income of the buyer. When your income increases, you're likely to spend more on purchase of some goods, such as fruits, full cream milk, butter, etc. Such goods are called normal goods. Normal goods are those goods whose demand increases with the increase in income. So the demand for normal goods is directly related to the income of the buyer. But there are some goods whose demand decreases when the income of the buyer increases, such as jowar, bajra, toned milk, etc. These goods are called inferior goods. So the demand for the inferior goods is inversely related to the income of the buyer. So next question is question 6. Fill in the blanks with appropriate words. If the income of a buyer falls, his demand for inferior goods will increase. Second, when price of ink increases, demand for fountain pen will decrease. Question 3, as the number of buyers of commodity in the market, higher will be the demand for the commodity. So the greater is the number of buyers, the higher is the number of buyers in a commodity in the market, higher will be the demand for the commodity. Fourth, if the distribution of income and wealth is more in favor of the demand for goods used by the poor will be more. So the answer is the distribution of income and wealth is more in favor of the poor. The demand for goods and used by the poor will be more. So that is the end of chapter 9 on demand.